Hi, I'm David Wilentz, programmer at New York Asian Film Festival. I'm here with Sam Jamier, the director of the festival.
Hi.
And we want to welcome you to this very special edition of the New York Asian Film Festival. It is unique because
We can't have a physical in-person edition, unfortunately. We held out for a long time with the hope that we'd be able to have a real in-person offline edition. I think we're very committed to the theatrical experience and to the communal experience of watching films together. And every year we do this at the film at Lincoln Center, which I think offers some of the best projection conditions to watch film. Unfortunately, things being what they are,
uncertainty. We don't know when we can go back to the movie theaters, so it's better safe than sorry. We really didn't want to turn it into a virtual situation, but we're going to make the best of what we have because we really have to share these films with everyone.
That's right. So we think it's time that we go online simply because there's a timing in terms of the lifespan of these films and the way they circulate in the public in East Asia and here. So it's time that we go online. That's one way to do it, and I think that's the only way we can share the films right now.
Exactly.
So that's how we're gonna do it. We are gonna be available. Our lineup is going to be available on the app, the mobile app, Smart Cinema USA. I think they offer great technology. It's one of the reasons why we do it. 2K resolution. It's mobile based, so that means you don't need to own a computer. You don't need to be particularly. Anyone with a phone can watch it. So I think that's great. It's very democratic. That's the way we go. At the same time, it offers a resolution that's faithful to the experience of cinema. It's castable on the TV. If you're rich enough to have a smart TV, that's also fine. Respect. It's okay to be wealthy. So you can. There's many. It's a very flexible app. So that was our choice. Also, to me, it also represents a certain quality in technology is coming from Asia and a certain trend from Asia. So that's also one of the reasons why, we look east for everything we do. So that's also one of the reasons why we wanted to go with an app that actually comes from Asia. I think we're at a time where we're very inward oriented and everyone's looking in their own backyard, but that's not the way we do things. So it shows to me that's our commitment basically to Asia as a culture, as another world. And I think we'd be more inspired to take our cue from Asia in general when it comes to dealing with the pandemic. I didn't need to say that, but I did. So
you can't. Our passion for cinema cannot be curbed, and so we are compromising. But we are lucky to be in an age of technology where we can continue in another format. So even though, in a sense, we're sacrificing that traditional sense of community, we have a new kind of community, sort of.
That's
online.
right, and I think in many ways that would allow for more people to gain access to the films. Not everyone has the time available in their schedule, what with work and other things, to come to the Upper West Side or to Chelsea to watch the films with us. So I think in some ways it is also a progression, and that's also something we might take into account in the years to come and go hybrid, because that's the reality of the film experience now, that screens aren't just the big screens. And we've been talking about the power, the dominance of Netflix now in the film industry. That's something I'm asked about every year. So we have to take that into account as well. We don't live in a vacuum.
So we wanted to talk about some of the films in the selection. Let's start with the weirdest, craziest film, Abracadabra. Abracadabra was an Indonesian film that came to us sort of out of nowhere. It is funny, exciting, quirky, surreal. I had at one point described it as a cross between Jodorowsky, like if Jodorowsky directed Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's hard to describe, but it definitely has some of those elements.
It's a very creative, quirky, innovative piece of filmmaking. They work with a low budget, obviously, but they make the most of whatever means they had, and it's magic based. It's like Michel Gondry meets Jodorowsky,
Right.
low budget Jodorowsky, maybe less drug induced.
And the plot itself is it involves magicians and magic, and
right.
sort of blurs the line between what is sleight of hand and what is actually supernatural. The storytelling is really, it takes you on like an almost old school tall tale adventure. So we were really struck by that, and when we saw it, we knew this had to be included. One of the things that was exciting this year, we've always done it, is looking for films from Southeast Asia, but we made an even specific quest, and we started researching and hunting down films. And one that's a sort of a sleeper is a martial arts potboiler drama called Geran.
The action is quite incredible. I mean, it's just like from the moment it starts, it's not non-stop action, but it's pretty constant. It's a great drama set in a world where most people know Silat.
That's the thing. It focuses on Silat, which is the indigenous martial art to Indonesia and Malaysia, right?
Yeah, and it's something incredible to watch a headscarf wearing Muslim girl kicking ass. I find in this day and age where, there's a lot of intolerance, misunderstandings, cliches, bad cliches, and untrue cliches, which is the worst, about foreign cultures. We also thought it was the perfect film to show to our audience. It's genre, it has action, it's from Southeast Asia, not highlighted often enough.
Exactly.
And it has a very powerful sort of female-led narrative. One of the main characters, female. You're wearing your headscarf.
Yeah.
I think it shows that Southeast Asia, there's a lot of inventivity. I don't know if that's the word. In terms of the filmmaking, there's a new energy, very youthful. And it shows that the world of Southeast Asian martial arts doesn't stop with Tony Jaa and Iko Rice. So in that sense, I think it's great.
Taiwan cinema is always, it's a small country, but they're a force to be reckoned with. They have a very fascinating trajectory, again, to use that word, going from the Taiwan New Wave to pop cinema. We have a film called Detention, which was sort of a breakthrough in a way. It's a horror film.
I think it was very successful because, on the one hand, it's very serious-minded. It's about a part of history that's no joke, really no laughing matter. But at the same time, the wrapping is all pop culture. It's like it has some elements of J-pop, from video games, I recognize like random references to Silent Hill. I don't know how conscious it was, but it digests a lot of tropes from popular culture, particularly J-horror. Let's face it. From local Taiwan horror films as well. But at the same time, the topic is dead serious. And it manages to reconcile both in a way that's quite smooth. You watch it and you learn about history a little bit, you get a sense of the horror of these years. And at the same time, you see, on a superficial level, it's kids trying to survive in this, mess of a situation they're in.
That's very astute because horror at its best has a metaphoric power. And in this case, it's metaphoric for the historical, not the historical event, but the scars that has left on the psyche of the nation, as you said. And so I think that's exactly what you're saying, is wrapping it all in this pop culture blend, but talking about something very serious and it's almost cathartic. So I can see why it resonates with a Taiwanese audience. I think with audience at New York Asian Film Festival, it will also resonate. You might not make the connections with the history, but you might want to research it later, and you will see something a little deeper in the story at hand here.
Right. I think it's been a great year for Taiwan overall. I mean, we found a lot of interesting titles from that area. So it's an exceptional year. I haven't seen anything like it in 6-7 years easily. Something like that. Not to say that there aren't good films coming from Taiwan. There are, but it's a really good, really, really good year. I don't know what it is. So one of the few countries that managed the pandemic very well. But
they were prepared.
I would say maybe there's no surprise in the sense you know, they have the films they deserve. You know,
They were prepared for the pandemic because and they got very productive.
Korea has a lot of great films for us, and I want to highlight for now Secret Zoo. Considering the title, I had no expectations. I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm no particular fan of films with animals.
Let's talk about the premise. It is a movie about a zoo of animals that are all played by animatronic machines.
Yeah, what happened is you have this very okay. So the premise is dead serious. Initially, it's this guy who's struggling in his career. He has a low-level job in some kind of financial management firm,
as you do.
corporate law, right? It starts like that, sort of a very realistic portrayal, and all of a sudden, he gets bombarded as director of a zoo. Like what the? It's like that's not exact. And the guy is like, that's not exactly my idea of advancement, you know. So, and he's played by Geran, who actually came to New York for one of our award-winning films a few years ago. A film that won the Unleashed Award a few years ago, Microhabitat.
Great film.
Excellent movie. It really shows how indie filmmaking in Korea is still very much alive and kicking, despite very difficult conditions of distribution as well. But that's a very promising film to be headlining. Korea in the past year has pushed a lot of comedies. They produced a lot of comedies, and to I think great success. Some of them are quite excellent. That's one of them. It has a completely absurd premise, but once you get into it, it's absolutely hilarious. So description of work ethic, and it touches a large number of issues while being really funny. So that's a movie I really enjoyed watching. Just as a simple viewer, one film you start from A to Z, from start to finish, really, really funny.